During hydrant flow testing, many times we'll use this universal water flow chart. And what it's going to do is it's going to tell us how many gallons a minute are available at 20 psi. Remember that when we calculate how many gallons a minute are available from a hydrant, we start off with a static and then a residual test after we're flowing another hydrant to see how far it drops. Essentially, theoretically, we should be able to go down to 20 psi, which is what water protection engineers have estimated our best calculation for fire flow to be. So we're going to try and figure out, based on our test results, how many gallons a minute we can get if the residual were dropped to 20 psi. And it's actually much more simple than it looks. We're going to take a chart here. From left to right, the chart is going to be listed in gallons per minute, where from bottom to top is going to be our pressures. So since the very corner here is zero pressure, 0 gallons per minute, we're going to go ahead and put in our static pressure. Let's say that the results of our test say that we started off with a static PSI of 50. So what we're going to do is follow the line up at 0 gallons per minute and put a dot right at 50 PSI. So we're at 50 PSI for our static. The next step is we're going to take our residual, and our residual we're going to say is 25. So after we were flowing a hydrant, our test hydrant dropped from 50 to 25. We're going to have to calculate out with our water flow, either using a chart or using the calculation that we already learned to find out how many gallons per minute is coming out of that hydrant. But let's say that the results of our test showed that it wasn't a very good hydrant, and it was only flowing 375 gallons per minute. What we're going to do is find the gallons per minute across the bottom, go to about 375, and then come up to where that meets 25. So we're going to come up with a spot right around here that's at 25 psi and just under 400 gallons a minute. Then all we're going to do is take a straight edge, and we're going to draw a line on the chart that correlates with our two dots, with our static and our residual. And when we do that, we're going to end up crossing the 20 psi line. The 20 psi line right here is going to tell us where, theoretically, if we were to continue to flow even more, where we're going to end up at 20 psi. And then all we have to do now is just carry that down to where it crosses the gallons per minute line. We already know that here's 400, this line would be 450, so we're very close to the center. So estimating our 20 psi flow would be about 425 gallons a minute. So if there was a fire and we needed to get as much water as possible from that hydrant, the most we can expect is about 425 gallons per minute.